In mind, we have FirstGov here from the U.S. government, the General Services Administration, and Beverly Godwin and Cassie Coleman should be here. Are they here? There you are.
Good morning. I'm Casey Coleman. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for GSA's Office of Citizen Services and Communications.
And I'm Bev Godwin. I'm the Director of FirstGov Operations.
So thank you to David Gergen and members of the Innovations in American Government panel for this opportunity. For the next few minutes, I'm going to talk to you about a revolution, FirstGov. I believe the Founding Fathers would smile at our 21st century revolution because it is bringing government closer to the people, which is the essence of democracy. What's being revolutionized? It's the old way of doing business. Long lines, hours on hold, confusing directions, and baffling forms. The perception of a bureaucracy that is slow, unresponsive, inflexible, and tangled in its own red tape. What we at FirstGov are creating is a freer and more effective way for Americans to communicate with government across all levels. 4 words explain what we want Americans to say when asked why they sign on. My government, my terms. What a revolutionary concept. And it's working. We have stories, we have statistics. Let's start with some hard evidence. FirstGov had 6.8 million unique visits in 2001 and 37 million in 2002. Allow me to do the math. That's a 444% increase. Another stat, our turnaround time on thousands of emails each week is 4 hours. At one time, the federal government didn't even accept emails, and some agencies still don't. For 2003, FirstGov is averaging 1.3 million unique visits per week, or 8,000 per hour. You won't find many front doors that can handle that many people and that much traffic. Such figures are causing the media to take notice. One citizen interviewed by a TV reporter was astounded to find FirstGov so user-friendly. Your natural inclination is to think that the government is sort of this octopus you can't get your arms around, the user said, quickly adding, yet here everything is in one place. My message is that the days of the cold government octopus are over. We want lots of American arms around us. My government, my terms. Americans wanted an easy way to communicate with the troops in Iraq. We added a link to our homepage that allowed visitors to send email to the front lines. You may be familiar with the actress Shelley Duvall. Ms. Duvall was one of thousands of Americans who wanted to communicate with troops in Iraq and who discovered our website. In an email, she told us, FirstGov brings a focus, a point of contact that enables people to communicate better. It's a friendly new interface for our government and a conduit for goodwill and acts of kindness. The point is, this isn't a static enterprise. FirstGov is continually refreshed to provide the best experience for our users. Changes are not conceived in make-work sessions in stuffy agency meeting rooms. They're based on input from citizens who have strong opinions about what they expect from electronic government. There's not time today to revisit each service that we provide. You know that one click is all it takes to enter the official portal of the U.S. government. Millions are learning that access to federal, state, and local services and information across agency lines and across branches of government is immediate at our website. FirstGov gets you to online services such as buying stamps all the way to filing taxes. Citizens can weigh in on their local congressman's latest vote or even buy a car at a local auction. FirstGov also provides information about services at the local level, from county data and statistics to how to find your closest post office, farmer's market, or veterans hospital. FirstGov is a tremendous resource, and it is tremendously flexible. It proved so after the terrorist attacks of 9/11, when a shaken America turned within hours to FirstGov for critical updates. It proved so during Operation Iraqi Freedom, and it will meet the test again if another crisis erupts. We're here today to talk about innovations defined by Webster as the introduction of something new. FirstGov clearly meets that threshold. It is replicated by other states and nations. More than 500 federal websites use our search function at no cost to them. Our team is sought out for advice on security, privacy, usability, web design, and linking. We share our knowledge and experience with counterparts in many states, Canada, Mexico, the United Kingdom, Singapore, and many other countries, all of which promotes good relations as well as good e-government. FirstGov is more than a state-of-the-art website. It is narrowing the gap between citizen and government, and between America and her global neighbors. Though FirstGov excels when measured by the yardstick of current performance, the more appropriate calculus includes a long, thoughtful look down the road. There you will find a future of unlimited potential. Thank you on behalf of the FirstGov team and GSA for your consideration. Now we'll be glad to take questions.
Your thank you came just as she held the sign. You timed that beautifully. All right, to questions. Who would, Ed Dorn, you seem to be posed there for a question.
I commend you for the development of FirstGov. I use it. It's a terrific system. In your write-up, you talk about the cost of operating the system, I think roughly $10 million each of the past couple of years. Have you been able to calculate savings, not just in people's time, but in terms of the savings that I imagine might be affected if information often provided by individual agency operators is, if that responsibility is shifted to FirstGov, or has that kind of shifting begun to occur?
One of the things I want to say is when we submitted our application and our funding was $10 million, it was through passing the hat to 24 agencies. Right. I can now tell you we have an appropriation from Congress for 03. We're a line item, and we did receive the full $10 million. So our innovation is now a program. But to answer your question, one of the ways we look at savings is the fact that 550 agencies use the search engine that we built for FirstGov, which searches all of federal and state government. And because they don't have to pay for their own search engine, that's a savings of over $25 million to the taxpayer. There's untold savings in time to citizens and into government agencies in delivering services by allowing them to do it online rather than waiting in line, but we don't have an estimate of how much that is.
Bill Klinger and then David Osborne.
There are a whole host of federal government websites out there, and my question would be, to what extent, is there a lot of redundancy here, or most of that information that would be available on discrete websites also on your site? Does it muddy the water, in effect, that you have all these others?
We don't duplicate information. We link to that information. So our role is to get citizens to the right place. If they know to go to IRS directly or to Social Security, they go there. But if they don't, we're for the lost souls who don't know the organization of government. And our research shows most Americans don't know the level of government, the branch of government, the agency, and they don't want to know. So FirstGov is the place for them.
David?
I'm curious how FirstGov compares to what other countries do. Countries like Canada, the UK, Australia. I've heard Singapore, for example, has a wonderful web portal. Can you describe how you compare to
the UN report on e-government put FirstGov as #1. The Accenture report that just came out put Canada #1 with the US #2. We're right up there with the leaders, and you named them. In addition, Australia. We work a lot with those countries and stay breast and breed by working together. We just redesigned FirstGov last Thursday night, so if you haven't looked at it since Thursday, you'll see a new site. But we did it in conjunction with Australia, which had already gone to assuming you're a citizen when you come in, and Canada's thinking of going that way too. So we work a lot with them, but we're right up there with them.
I wanted to ask you, if I might, about two specific instances. Your response to the war in Iraq, which was not covered in your original application, and also how you handle the Anthrax scare and giving citizens access to information. But could you walk us through the Iraq portion of it?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things about FirstGov's uniqueness is we are the official source of government information, and we're very strict about our linking policy to only link to official government information so that citizens can trust what they're getting there is the official government information. So as soon as the president announced at 9 o'clock one night that we were going to war, we worked late into the night to get things on the home page that linked to the right places at the White House, the Department of Defense, the State Department. And like we do with all of our content, we listen to the public through emails, through what they're clicking on, through the phone calls to 1-800-FED-INFO. And as they're asking for things that we haven't thought of, we make sure they're on the home page. And that was including the email the troops.
Okay, well, that's what I'd like to pursue. What was the email to the troops system? Could people actually, citizens actually send emails to
yes.
members of their families?
Yes, it was set up by the Navy to allow it, that you could send in either an individual email that you're writing or you could sign a general thank you to the troops.
There was an earlier question about duplicating or redundancy of information. We actually thought about putting up an email form of our own to set up that process, and upon learning that the Navy had that, we merely linked to their site and opened up that avenue of communication.
Let's just say I had a child in the troop. How would it actually work? I would say, "Dear John Townsend," I have daughters, but "Dear John," how would that get to the troops? How did you set it up that it would actually get there?
This was more for generic, if you didn't know the individual, for Americans to have a way to say their thank yous and their concerns. I think there was other ways
generic.
for family members to get direct messages.
It was not to the individual then.
Right.
I got it. Thank you. That was number one.
The Navy was posting both the thank you letter with signatures as well as almost like a bulletin board showing the messages. So it was on their website.
Right. Yeah. And then when you said you saw that there was when the president declared war, everybody scrambled. Could you describe how you figure out that there's an issue that you really got to be on top of? Or, obviously war is big, but there are probably other issues that the public wants to know, and how you're so responsive, because I think that's that's the human part of all of this.
Right. Well, there's top things that people always have on their mind, and the most common things they come to government for, whether it's benefits and grants or passports or immigration. So those things you always find on the homepage. But it's one, listening to the news, but also we get email through FirstGov from the public, thousands a week, and we have a call center, 1-800-FED-INFO, where people can ask any question of government. So we're constantly looking at the email and the phone calls to see if there's issues that are going above.
Yeah, and it's great. So is there somebody there who says, wow, we've gotten 25% on this issue this week, we should do something about it? How does that work?
Yeah, well...
do you go to the agency that's in question? That's, I think, the real question.
Yeah.
Do you get the agency to produce?
One example is when the Columbia Space Shuttle fell. That was on a Saturday, and Casey and I talked by phone and said, can this wait till Monday, or do we need to get it up today? And we decided this was a big enough issue of people worrying about was the debris causing environmental hazards, or what should they do with debris, that they needed official government information. But we pulled together from the different agencies into a page what FEMA had, what the White House had, what NASA had, so that it would be in one place. So we rely on what other people are doing who are the experts, but we pull it together so people can find it.
Yeah, so in a fast-breaking national event, people can watch television or read the newspaper, but they can also go to FirstGov and figure out what the government is doing in a variety of ways.
Right, what the official government is doing.
And we do get requests from the administration sometimes. Folks in the administration will recognize something as sufficient importance. They'll ask us to make sure it's highlighted.
Most of what people can get on FirstGov is information. The sort of second generation for government websites is service transactions actually online. And I know you don't control agencies, but do you have any way of pushing the agencies to put more service transactions online?
You'll see on our redesign the most prominent thing on the site is get it done online. And we list the online services, and we list about 10 on the front page, and then it links to a site with about 60 online services. So agencies are going there, and it's by putting them up there, it sort of points out not only what's there, but what's not there, and it's a way to encourage the agencies. We also work very closely with OMB and the Office of Electronic Government that is pushing the agencies to get their top services online.
Just for clarification, when you hold that time is up, is that the 8-minute mark? All right. Are there any other questions here?
I just wanted, David Gergen had asked about your response to the anthrax situation.
Yeah, similar to the other crises, we worked with both the post office and various offices within HHS, the CDC, the Office of the Secretary, and the Food and Drug Administration, as well as agriculture and the food supply, to see what they were putting up and put it in a coordinated way so the citizens could find it, and find it if they're thinking about whether packages coming into their mailbox are safe versus their office space. So we worked with the agencies.
But are you running it? This reason I asked about anthrax, I thought there was a lot of citizen discontent. People could not find rapidly enough from the government how to respond to it. I mean, and it goes back to David Osborne's question, which I think is the heart of a lot of this, and that is, if citizens really need to know, and you've got an agency that's not all that responsive or not that quick off the mark, do you have the capacity to get them to get things up on their website that you can provide access to?
Well, I mean, the anthrax is a good example. I don't know if there's anyone from HHS in the room, but government agencies sometimes put up duplicate things, and we put what we think is the best. We have a linking policy of putting the most citizen useful, and we decided which was the most citizen useful. We got calls from HHS why we weren't putting up other pages, and we told them why. Casey?
I would also say that we have, I think, some informal leverage that we are able to use by being the portal for all this information, where we can go through agency channels to persuade them, or we can't coerce any of them into doing anything, but we can use that informal leverage to help get it done.
Would an award give you much more leverage?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Is that your bottom line?
Yes.
Well, actually, I thought that,
Yeah.
based on this is, what is your relationship to OMB? Because they clearly do have leverage. So is there a way that you can, or have been working closely with OMB? So
Yes,
that
we do.
people are actually being more responsive.
We do work very closely with them, and I would say it's a bi-directional relationship. They let us know about things they think are important, and we highlight for them things gaps that we identify in areas where agencies can contribute more.
And in addition to that, just last week, OMB asked us to help them draft what might be common guidelines on web content on all government websites.
Well, Casey Coleman and Beverly Godwin, we thank you. We also want to tell everyone we're especially pleased you're here today. You are the only federal program to make it into the finals. So we congratulate you and thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.